Welcome back to another episode of Barbecue and Bottles, and today we're going to be testing out whether baking soda can actually enhance the Maillard reaction and really improve the brownness and the crust on your steak. So the theory is that baking soda will increase the pH of your steak, and the Maillard reaction, of course, performs better in a high pH environment. So for one of the steaks, we're going to sprinkle on a little bit of baking soda. And again, make sure you're not using baking powder. You want just baking soda. So we'll get an even amount of that on here, flip it over, and we'll do the same on the other side. Perfect, and then just rub that in. All right, now, otherwise for preparation, we're just going in with a healthy amount of kosher salt. Pat that down in there. Flip it over, we'll get the other side. Perfect. Pat that in. Now we'll make sure we've got some seasoning on the edges, where we'll just pick up the seasoning that was left behind on the board there. All right, and now these steaks are ready to go. And we've had these steaks out of the fridge for about an hour, and these have just been warming up to room temperature before we cook them. And that's just going to make sure that we get a more even medium rare from edge to edge on the steak, as opposed to having that brown thick layer on the outside. So we've got our cast iron pan on here. It's heating up on the grill. We're trying to get this to a temperature of somewhere between 450 and 500 is what we're looking for, and then we'll add in our steaks. The only other ingredients that you'll need for this cook, so we've got crushed garlic here. We just smashed the garlic and then quickly peeled off the paper on the outside. And then we've got some clarified butter and avocado oil. Now we use avocado oil because it's got a really high smoke point, and we'll put that in the pan before dropping in the steaks. And that is just going to make sure that our oil doesn't burn as we're searing away on the steaks. So we've got this temp gun here, and it's an infrared thermometer. So we're just going to check the temperature of the pan. And there we are, we're a little over 450 right here, a little under 450. So we're just going to add in our avocado oil at this point. Go in with a generous amount of that. Now we just want to move the pan around, make sure we get an even coating. And now we're going to lay the steaks in. Just pat them down so that you know there's been a solid connection from the base of the steak with the surface of the cast iron. Perfect. All right, now these have been searing away for 3 or 4 minutes here, so we're going to flip them over. And we've got a nice crust. Now let's check the one with the baking soda. No, it's a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. But let's see how the other side turns out. Now we're just going to add in some butter, and this is clarified butter, so it has a really high smoke point. The smoke point for this butter is 480 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll get a lot of that in here. Don't worry, we're going to baste these steaks in butter afterwards. Now let's get some garlic in. And then of course rosemary. Now for the rosemary, we're going to rough it up like this, and it really helps to release the essential oils that are in the actual rosemary itself. So it should impart more of a rosemary flavor onto the steaks. Now we're just going to temporarily take the steaks off the grill like that, and we're just going to baste them with butter. Now make sure you get the rosemary up onto the steaks, a little bit of the garlic onto the steaks as well, and then just slowly baste them. Now we'll get this back on the grill. All right, now we're just gonna check the temp of the steaks, and we're looking for an internal of about 128 for medium rare. So both of these are sitting just shy of 120. So we'll give those another few minutes before we take them off. Now, one thing you also want to do is just make sure you sear the fat cap. So you want to hold your steak up like that, give it a good sear, do the same with the other one. And that's really just going to make sure that fat renders down and that it's really nice and malleable if you want to end up eating that with your steak. So now we're going to check the temps again. All right, we're at 130. These steaks are ready to come off. Now as these steaks are resting, we're just gonna put a little bit of that garlic and the juice and the rosemary on top of each steak. That'll just add another layer of flavor as we let these rest. So we've had these steaks resting for about 10 minutes here now. We're just gonna remove the garlic and the rosemary, and we're gonna check which one we think has more of a crust and more of the Maillard reaction. So if we take a look at this one, this is the one that actually had the baking soda on it, and this one was just salt. So we can certainly see a darker, there's definitely more of a Maillard reaction here. There's a darker crust on this one than here. We'll check the other side. The other side's more or less the same. So let's cut into these and see whether there's any taste difference. All right, now there shouldn't be any material difference in the level of doneness. We wouldn't expect baking soda to impact that at all. So let's just take a look at some of these slices here. And that's right, you can just see a nice medium rare on both steaks. No real difference there. So beyond the crust, let's see how they taste. That is really, really good. Now let's grab another one of these slices here, but this time from the one with the baking soda. Those were both fantastic. The baking soda didn't leave any difference in the taste. Frankly, we put a lot of butter into the pan, and so there wasn't much of a firmness in the crust, and so there wasn't much of a difference in terms of that crunchiness of the steak between the two. And there definitely wasn't any type of residual flavor being left over from the baking soda. So just to make sure, I'm gonna have one more piece here. I'm gonna add a little bit of that rosemary and the garlic onto it. Phenomenal. So there you have it. On this video, what I'm gonna say about baking soda is if you don't have the time to do a 48-hour dry brine, if you just let your steaks rest for an hour, pat them down with a paper towel, and use the baking soda, you're gonna get a Maillard reaction that's fairly close to the 48-hour dry brine. So if you're in a pinch, use your baking soda. I think it's a great little cheat, and it'll up your steak game. So if you enjoyed this video, give us a like below, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.